Hey guys, WLJK here. I figured I'd give you guys a heads up on this. Mainly because I know I have complained in the past on how, okay, I can't get the console stuff to work. I'm going to stick strictly with the PC stuff. That may have changed. A couple things. If I had known this beforehand, I would have went and got Rage on the 360 and recorded it. But all said and done, I got it working. Now, this is the capture software for said console recording. This is for the Hauppauge. There's one thing that is incorrect on this screen, and that's the RCA front. It should be RCA rear. I put it as front because I was getting a echo loop going for the recording, so I'm going to leave that like that. Okay, device settings. I basically kept the default. Now, yes, I am recording 1080. So, these you pretty much don't have to change. The format settings, this was the tricky part. It's going to take a moment. Here we go. Alright, so the H.264 encoder, which is the PVR, I have constant bit rate maxed at 13.5 megabits. Luma and Chroma, I think they're either default 3 or default 5. I have it at 3. So that's the setting for that. So before I close this and go back, I'm going to switch this back. So give me 1 second, guys. I'll close this and get into the Camtasia. Okay, so we don't need that now. So now if we go back to the Camtasia, as you can see, I got a little bit of Batman Arkham Asylum here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo this and show you. Alright, say hypothetically this clip was actually an hour and 30 some minutes long. So what I go in and do is, the first thing I do is I select the whole thing. When I turn around and open up a file, it'll turn around and ask me which mode to display it in. I display it in 720. Now, when you watch it here on this screen as a playback, it skips because it's transcoding it on the fly. So that is not a good cursor into or precursor, I should say, and to tell you how the video is going to look. You have to turn around and do a small recording. So anyway, I have, okay, say this whole file, I'll turn around, shrink it down, go 15-minute chunks, because I got a real good setting on this. So say I get about 15 minutes. That's my golden mark. I'll turn around. It may be a little less, maybe a little more. It depends on if I'm going to chop some dialogue from the game or myself out in the middle of it. And then what I do is, it's just like Vegas. You hit S for split and it splits it up. Now, so I'm going to render, or I'm going to take care of this section. So what I do temporarily is I delete what's left over. So you hit delete. That way, you may not need to do this, but I've had glitches where I turn around, split it up, and say, okay, this section I want saved, this section I want saved. And each subsequent batch file in the render ended up being the first part, then the first and second, then the first, second, third, and it grew exponentially. So after I get this, now if I were just going to record this, I would just go produce and share. But seeing I'm going to record a batch render, you go up to File, Save Project As. And as you can see here, I got 13, well, there's 12 parts here because I already uploaded the first part, the intro. But there's multiple parts in here. And I just, name it, whatever. Cancel it. Well, in this case, you would save it, but you cancel it. Okay, so that would get this rendered. Now, then I go undo. I get that part back. I go over. I delete what I just did. and then I repeat the steps and I continue on. In this case, it's the end clip. So I have that, file, save project, which this one is just so happened to be episode 13. So that's how I do that. Then I hit delete. Now I'm doing this one video file at a time. So I know the first 3 are done, ready to render. I'm trying this to help proofread so I don't have the rage mishap. So then I go import data, and it popped on my other screen, so I'll bring it over. Now I have, this one's already pre-rendered and uploaded. This is this file here. This one is this file. So then I'll go with the next one. As you can see, recorded 10/18/2011. This is my dinner break right here. This is before dinner. This is when I start playing at 1:30 and then stopped at 3:30. So there's 2 hours. Or is that right? Yeah. 1:30 to 3:30. There's 2 hours. Well, actually 3 hours here because I stopped recording a little before 5. So there's 3 hours here. So then I pick my next file, boom, they'll show it up here. Now it won't show the one screen, but what I do is I drag it down. Everybody pretty much knows this. Now you may notice it's like, okay, this is weird. If you're familiar with Camtasia, this would be green. Now there's a little reason why it's orange, because when I'm doing this batch rendering I don't have to keep going into it. I notice with the console recording there's a little bit of background noise. So I add a audio filter. I do a medium volume variation for volume leveling, and I enable noise removal. That's why it's taken a little while for this to go. Once you see this go all the way to end, this line's going to change. So that's what I change on that. That's the only real setting that I change on. As this comes over, we will see how, as it continues on. Now usually it would just go. Now these little tricks is also what I use to turn around and batch render those long Minecraft videos or the rage videos where I turn around and said, there was an hour and a half missing. This is why it was missing, because I turned around and screwed this part up. But here we go, we're almost at the end. As you can see, this clip's an hour and 40 some minutes long. Boom, now the line's smaller. It changes the volume level and stuff. Now I was still experimenting with audio levels, so if I have to, I can come in here and go audio, and I can adjust the volume level and whatnot, but I'm not going to do that right now. Now, seeing this is sitting here ready to go, I shall show you how I batch render, because I'll do a small batch render here. I'll show you the items. Okay, so I'm up to episode 13. So now that I have those Camtasia files saved, I go Tools, Sharing, Batch Render, or Batch Production. Now it will not produce anything from this because it's not selected yet. So it goes in here, asks me for files. So I click on Add Files / Projects, which brings me to my Arkham Cities. So I'll select those, open those. It'll sit there going ding 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 for a second. Then I'll go next. Now it always comes up as blog, and I've tried to delete this and it won't leave. So if I go in here, I'll show you the settings for my work. Now the web I use for the Minecraft. It makes it a little larger, but it gives a better, less motion blur. What I did here is the YouTube, I modified it, and we'll go into editing that. Okay, it's MP4 flash. That I kept as is. I did not mess with Windows Media, QuickTime, and instead of converting it from one version to another, which is what you do in Sony Vegas, you convert it from the MT2S to an MP4 or MOV or an AVI, whatever. I turn around and leave it as such, okay? So technically I'm just changing it from a 1080 MP4 to a 720 MP4. So you don't lose a lot of quality. And then when I go next, all this no controls, file format, MP4, flash options, you're going to have to turn around and type in 1280 by 720. Let's go to audio real quick. I bring it down to 56 kps because that's decent. It doesn't really add much of a larger file size, but the 56K, you know, it's clear enough. It's not spiking and whatnot. The video is set to automatic. Matter of fact, this is all default except for two things. Frame rate's automatic, keyframe every 5 seconds, that's default. Encoding method, it's usually on bit rate. I change it to quality, and I slide this down. Seeing we're going from a 1080 to a 720. I give it a little extra boost. Now this you might have to experiment on each and individual project you have, but I slid mine down to 40, which this just so happens to be the same setting that I used for the Rage, so it seems it works good for converting a 1080 to a 720, so I keep it at that. Then we go next. This stuff here I just leave blank. I could turn around, put in copyright information, author, it's, you know, it's fine. You can include a watermark, which I think I'm going to come up with something to have a watermark in my videos, but that is the settings. As you can see, automatic, 5 frame, playback controls, none, pause at start, disabled, bitrate mode, quality, video quality, 40% with a 56 kilobits per second for the audio format, AAC, watermark, HTML, and table of contents are all disabled. So then I just go to YouTube, go next, and then I have to pick the folder now. We'll go up to Batman Arkham City. Once you do this a couple times, it defaults it. If it turns around and recognizes, hey, you're doing Batman, it's going to save it in this file. You don't want to do organized produced files in subfolders. It adds disk space to your system. It puts it in a folder and then adds the stuff that you turn around and told it you didn't want. It still adds a file, even though they're only like 1K or so. You don't have to show production results. You click Finish, and it takes a moment. Every time you see the cursor flash, that's one file being set up to be batch rendered. And then you get this screen. Overall batch progress. Now, I don't pay attention too much about this because I know where the source is. I know where it's going, so I don't pay attention to that. My biggest concern is the project name, its status, the time it started and time it ended. This will also help me out if I turn around and find an error. So what I'm going to do now is I'm not actually going to have this go. One reason, because I want to get this up and loaded before I show that to you guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this back to the way I had it. Get this, matter of fact. And when you hit delete there, it does not kill the file. The file is still here. Now if I turn around, go here and go remove from clip bin, I now know that one still need to be done. These ones are done. So, like, okay, I might say I batch render these 3. Once I know these 3 are done and I'm starting uploading, then I'll get these off the hard drive. Now, to give you an idea of file size, we'll bring up the 2 little things here. Okay, this will work perfect. Once again, if you saw my other video, my little title idea, and I forgot to shut my 360 off, but my little title file, you know, it's a 1 minute long file. That's going to be my thumbnail for my playlist. All right, so to give you an idea, we'll actually bring this down. All right, this file and this file is exactly the same. This one is 19 minutes, say 20 minutes. It's 1.81 gig. Now, technically, I could upload that right there as it is. It's under the 2 gig file format. It's a little over 15 minutes, but the time, your time limit has been expanded. Now, for, you know what? Let's bring this up side by side. Make it a little bit easier. Here we go. That might not work so good. We'll split screen it here. I should have had this a little bit more well prepared. Let's minimize that so I don't have to deal with it. Okay. That there. Do it like this so you can still see both of them. Okay, so there. 1946, 1 gig. 1.8 gig. 1946, 153 meg. Now, if you look at the data rates 12,942, 1,030. Bit rate 13,131, 1084. This one's recorded 29 frames per second. That's the actual Camtasia or the Hauppauge recording. It's gone up to 30 frames per second, so it's going to make it a hair smoother. You might get a little video glitch here and there, just a little skip. 1920 by 1080 down to 1280 by 720. And once again, 1946, 1.81, 1946, 153. And if you notice, both of them are MP4. So you think I'm compressing it, not only the fact that I'm taking half the or say a half to a third of the resolution away from converting it from 1080 to 720. Oh, excuse me. But I'm also taking another 40% on top of that. So, needless to say, with this one, with Rage, I was doing like 10-minute videos because the files were large. I'm going to turn around and basically have at least 15-minute videos for Batman. Some of it might be different because, I might have it where it is a specific mission and it only takes 10 minutes. I'm going to try to chop it so that that mission is 10 minutes. But other than that, yeah, that's how that's going to be set up. Close that up. Close that up. Nothing else running. Okay. So, seeing this has now been 18 minutes, I shall let you go. I hope this guy's helped you. At least it showed how I came around the problem with the console. The one thing I did notice, though, I used these same recordings on an older game. I used it on X-Men Wolverine, X-Men Origins Wolverine. And the same exact settings, the video looked like crap. So one thing to remember is if you have a newer game, those settings will help. If you have an older game, you're going to have to tweak it even differently because what's the phrase? You can't... I can't remember the phrase, but basically what you put into the software is what you get out. If you put a crappy game in, it's going to be a crappy game coming out. I noticed the one or two little indie games I tried and recorded, and one of them I think I posted up looked decent. But that's all newer graphics. So I know, like the X-Men Origins Wolverine, I had recorded that. I was going to put that up. Then I started rendering it and watched the rendering and tweaked it and whatnot. I said, no, forget it. I'm not doing this. That's when I made the decision that 95% of the stuff was going to be the PC. Now, do I change my standing on it? Yes. I was originally about 50-50. Then I went 95 PC, 5% console. I'm thinking I'm more like 60% console, or 60% PC, 40% console. I'm bringing console content back up a little bit. Now, multiplayer games, Modern Warfare 3, Battlefield 3, that will probably be PC, because I'm not wasting the money for Xbox Live Gold again, just to turn around and have it like, okay, I'm playing against idiots or people who are a hell of a lot better than I am. Now, I'll get that in PC, but because of the controls of the PC and the fact of not every 12-year-old is going to have a system that's comparable to a $2,000 to $2,500 gaming PC for these high-end games, you got a better chance you're going to get people that are a little bit more respectful and more game-worthy on the computer. So, anyway, I'm rambling on, guys. This has been WLJK. I hope those little listing of settings helped you. And I'm going to be releasing not only the Rage, continue finishing the Rage, which unfortunately I on my update video I mentioned the reason why I'm not going to attempt to fill in that gap. I'm going to keep it as is. Excuse me. I'm still trying to recuperate. I was up until 7 o'clock this morning playing Batman. So I played it for 12 and a half hours, but I was up for like 14 and a half hours straight working on it. And now who knows how much longer it's going to take to render. But anyway, I'm getting off the subject again. Yeah, I got so far off the subject I forgot what it was. But anyway, this has been WLJK. I hope, the settings I showed help you if you do have Camtasia. Now, does that mean I'm going to get rid of Sony Vegas? No. Maybe somewhere down the road I figure out how to get things to render better in there. But Camtasia seems to be very comparable. It's a little bit more expensive. So, I don't need to upgrade it because it's working fine. So I'm not going to worry about upgrades or anything unless something brand new, whiz bang, auto setting, graphic leveling thing comes out. I'm not too worried about it. So, so I'm gonna have now I remember what I was saying. I'm gonna have not only the Rage being put up a couple times a day, a few episodes released, but I'm probably gonna do Batman. I'll probably do Batman like maybe 2, maybe 3 episodes a day with the Rage. So Rage will get a couple to 3 episodes, Batman will get a couple to 3 episodes, and then once Rage is done, I'll start releasing more and more of the Batman episodes. So this has been WLJK. I shall catch you guys later.